All right, everybody. Welcome to King of Swings Ticker TV channel. Going to build my watch list tonight. Definitely going to be busy this weekend, so won't have much time to spend online. So I want to get it out of the way on this lovely Friday evening. We had a big day today. The chat room, the Warrior Trading chat room, absolutely nailed this LinkedIn short all day long. We were in and out of this thing for a total of 18 points. We had so many traders who just made thousands and thousands of dollars on this really, really obvious setup. Super weak market with the super weak stock gapping down on earnings. And it ended up just being this monstrous winner for everybody. So very proud to say. Very proud to say that we had a ton of people just absolutely crush the stock. So Mike is the one who alerted this, and I think he's going to do a blog post on it or something in the coming days here. So look forward to that to understand more about what the trade is all about. But if you want to see what happened or entries and exits that were all alerted, you can check out on Twitter. Follow at Nicely Done, NYSELYDONE. That's Mike. He's one of our great day traders, and he will be posting stuff periodically throughout there regarding this trade and others. So the real reason we're all here is so that I can build my watch list. One thing I'm not sure, I screwed around with the resolution settings on the open broadcast software that I'm using here. So if it is not good resolution, then take a look and let me know, and I can adjust it on the fly here as need be to make it better. So I'm trying to look at it here. Yeah, it looks pretty good to me. If you guys have issues with the clarity or anything like that, just let me know. So real quickly, going to blast through this watch list setup here for next Monday. We're going to pull up TC2000 here, run some of the scans. Now I have a lot of questions that come in about about TC2000. I don't use TC2000 for trading at all. I use it for swing trade scans and doing my swing trade analysis, and that's it. I use eSignal for all of my trading and during the market, day trading and swing trading once I'm in a position. Like I said, just use TC2000 for the scanning capability. So as I flip through these stocks here, I see that a lot of the metals, minerals, golds, things like that have all kind of moved up today as a hedge toward the market. These things are popping up a little bit. Not surprising. Oil, we have some oil names that popped up today. Even though oil is relatively weak as a whole, some of these companies are reporting earnings, and so we're still seeing strong moves here. But I'm not an oil trading guy. I trade the ETF. I don't trade oil companies. So I have an open position right now on USO, 5,000 shares of USO. Did a buy right on that, alerted it last week. So the trade's holding up well. Looking to get called out on that before expiration, and if not, we'll set up another covered call on it. Timpanum. What's up, man? So let's flip through some more charts here. A lot of energy. This is one I wanted to look at here. I saw this one early on. This is, I like to say, STRP. It's STRP, Straight Path Com. This company has been on watch before, as you can see as I remove these lines here from previous levels that it broke out from. We have this beautiful move up here, nice little bull flag consolidation right along this big yellow 200 moving average. This is a pretty clean chart. We got some room up and over the $23 area here. Puts us back into an area of relatively light resistance. And I think we probably will get a move on this. Initially, a move to 25 bucks relatively quickly. How did I come up to that number? Well, we see that we've been tapping this area at 23 bucks here for the last week or so. This is also a previous resistance area from back in September, August. It's also a previous support area from before that. Remember, guys, I say this in almost every video. Previous support becomes resistance. Previous resistance becomes support. So here's previous support, became resistance. And then previous resistance has become, it's still resistance here. So definitely looking for the move back to $25 here. I like the setup. One of the things I need to do is before, as with any trade setup, is check the fundamentals first. We want to make sure we're not bumping into earnings on this. Not a fan, would never recommend for risk management purposes holding or trading through earnings. And this setup right here, earnings were late December. We don't have earnings on this until March. So this is holding up really well. It's a very bullish chart. It's just about to cross over the 200 EMA in a very bearish market. That is a very good sign, because if we do get a nice bull market rally or a strong day in the broader market, it should be relatively easy to get a pop out of a stock that's already bullish in weak conditions. So I'm going to put STRP on watch here. Tim says, GoPro, any opinion on the Microsoft license agreement? I definitely don't have an opinion on GoPro. GoPro is a pile. They're a horrible company financially. Obviously, any company that goes from $100 to $10 in a year is a monstrous POS. I'm glad you asked about them, though. They just had earnings, in which, of course, they sold off again. They're going to put out information left and right. Nick Woodman, their CEO, talked on this a little while ago, or a couple nights ago. Nick Woodman, their CEO, lost his billionaire status recently when the stock price crossed a certain threshold to the downside there. He is definitely no longer the glamorous tech CEO that he once was. He is in hot water. And I suspect GoPro, which is his baby, won't be around. He won't be around for much longer if he's not able to turn things around. I mean, GoPro is just a few dollars away from becoming a penny stock. And remember, this company had a multi-billion-dollar market cap, huge valuation. I don't know what they're at now. I'm going to tell you in just a second here. So their market cap is now $1.4 billion or so. And the Microsoft licensing deal, I'm just pulled up the article on that right now that you asked about here. The stock moved up like 3 or 4% today after that news came out, and it couldn't even hold the $10 area. So it's it did get a nice spike on it up to about 1068 or so, but it's not something that's going to help the stock recover any of its glory. This thing is played out. I think it's dying a slow death. It's just like Soon and all these other stocks, SUNE, very similar chart, right? Had this big move up here, and it's just slowly becoming a penny stock, and my opinion will be delisted shortly. So GoPro, not a fan of. It has a lot of volatility, but right now it's not something that I'm really interested in, even with the news. So let me get out of this here, and let me finish this little statement. STRP, this is going to be on watch. Move for the move back over 25. Holding the 200 EMA well in very bearish conditions. I like this for a long over, oh boy, over 23, and to stop at 2250. All right. All right, right, so STRP is one of the first names we're going to put on watch for next week. Man, all these people in here, you guys don't have a life either, huh? It's Friday night. Okay. Yeah. Well, there's 9 of you guys in here now. Awesome. Yeah, we have some fun. All right, so Straight Path Communications is on watch Monday. Let's look through some of these. We have very few names on the long scanner. This is the result of the market dropping, the SPY dropping 40 points, 35 points today. So not a lot of bullish setups out there, but like I said, Straight Path is one of them. Looking for some other ones here. This is a nice bullish setup. We got this little top forming under 960, but it's an oil play. Like I said, I'm already in oil, but this is a nice alternative over the 960 area. Possible move here back to 1050 or so. But keep in mind, like anything in the oil world, it has been selling off for quite some time. So it's trading sideways now, but if it busts out over 960, 965, I think this thing has room to 1050 pretty quick. So a lot of earnings gappers, not really interested in anything earnings related for a swing unless the setup looks just right. Let's see, this is MVIS, another tech stock. Tech stocks have been relatively hot lately. The whole sector's been outperforming most of the others. Not the .com stuff, but a lot of like the actual components and chip companies. This one is a nice looking bull flag here. We got this move up, little sell off, and then a pop back up through all the moving averages. Today it put in a decent sized move. Now this is only a $2 stock, so it doesn't trade with a great amount of range. We have room here along on this is over 282. We got room to 290, and then probably back to 306. So let me zoom out a little bit, take a look here. That's really it. So this is a very very narrow trade here on very light volume. We have room. We have room to 306, which is about 26 cents from where it's at right now. Not room for a huge winner, but in this market, if it can continue through these levels, very light resistance getting to that point. This is not a bad looking setup for a long over 282, maybe an add over 290, and target here would be 306. That's about 5% move. Let me check on their earnings. Aren't coming up anytime soon. So this will be an option. Not the best setup in the world. It's not really a big enough mover to get my attention normally, but because of the lack of quality setups, thanks to our sad day in the market, this is definitely one to keep on watch as a standby here, and that's MVIS. And this tech mover is poised for move back up and over $3. Long entry is going to be over 282 with a stop. We're going to keep a real tight stop on this, 12 cents. Put a stop at 1270, okay? We're not going to let it get out of control. The stop is 1270. We'll have an add spot for this. I have an add spot on this at 290 and a sell target of 306 or so, which is going to be this little high. 305, I guess. We'll say it's 305. If we can break through that, then even better. But we're not going to get carried away here. No reason to get greedy. That's a nice 5% move. Anytime you can get 25 cents on a $2-3 stock, that's good for 5%. That's what we look for in this market. If we get that in one day, I'd be more than happy. Let's see here. Something like MBIS, my size would be, let's see, I would take, it trades 15 cents on 300,000 shares. I'd probably take 5,000. I mean, my stop's 10 cents away, right? So if my risk is anywhere from $700 to $1,000 a trade, and I have a 12-cent stop, I could easily take, 7,000-8,000 shares of this. And if it were to test my stop at 270, take me out. But the problem is because it is lighter in volume, that if it does come against us and take me out, there's a good chance that my slippage will end up pushing me down. My slippage will push me down well past my 12-cent stop. So it might end up being a 15 or 20-cent loss on, 7,000-8,000 shares. So I'll have to compromise. This one I'd probably do 5,000 shares on. Look to make 25 cents on it. Not a big win by any means, but something that's probably manageable. But it depends on the liquidity at the time, It all depends on what's happening at these prices on Monday. But I'd say right now, just looking at it without looking at the level 2 or the tape from today, I could say probably about 5,000 shares. So, that's plenty for me on this. A lot of the miners are moving. A lot of oil is moving. Okay, here's a good one. Rent-A-Center. Rent-A-Center, I don't really like the stock. It's obviously been very weak lately, but I saw this one the other day. It keeps kind of gapping down here and selling off. We We have a little top here at 1135 or so, and then it gets into a gap. And the only reason I like this is because of the gap. Why do I like it? Because of the gap. Because we know that a high percentage of the time that stocks that gap up or down are going to make some reasonable attempt to fill or at least partially fill the gap. So this is good for a gap fill trade here. I think that we'll probably get a move to at least the bottom here of this last move, 1180 or so. More realistically, I think we do get up here to the 1270 spot. So I do like this here potentially for a long over 1120, close at 1104. So this is a long over 1120. Possible add spot is over 1141. That's good risk reward setup there. We'll put a stop at 11 bucks. Target will be 1182, which is the low point of this recent move. And then the next target will be up here at 1270, where the actual gap concludes. So this is not a bad setup here. This is going to be RCII. Yeah, relatively low risk setup here. This thing has been gapping down through earnings, but short term, if the market wants to bounce or if this thing wants to keep running, I think once it makes a move up into the gap, it'll open up. If not, it doesn't, but it's very liquid with 2.6 million shares traded today and just about the same yesterday. So definitely liquid enough that we could take some size, and there's solid opportunity to get a nice move intraday. This thing moved up almost 7% intraday today. That's great for a day trade, and if it wants to close near the highs and not test our stop, we'll hold it for a swing trade. So this will be on watch for gap fill. Long entry is over 1120 with an add, with a possible add 1140. First target is 1180 and then 1270. Stop will be at 11 even initially. All right, so now we're pushing the boundaries of my comfort level as far as finding stocks to trade to the long side. This thing's already about a 7% mover. I don't really like moving up from 5%, but again, because of the scarcity of long bias scan results due to the market weakness, there's just not a lot of choices out there. And we try and be very systematic and follow our plan, follow our strategy, and that requires taking trades that meet the criteria on the scanner. So we're going to I'm going to keep this one on watch, but I'm going to move to short bias scan results now, which there are 230 of. So I'm sure I can find a couple that meet the necessary criteria. I'm also going to stand up. Let me move my desk here. All right, looking at some of these other scans here, we'll start at the top. We have CMN. Never heard of this stock in particular before. Looks to be a relatively lower volume trader, around 150,000 share average volume. But today, for some reason, they put in a massive relative volume spike to the downside. And we saw 470,000 shares. A little light for my taste. So let's see if we can't find some other. No, that's definitely not a fan. HSNI is not a really good looking setup. It's making new lows, multi-year lows. Not interested in that. Again, another one here making multi-year lows. Not interested. This one is a sell-off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row. It's been selling off. So I'm not going to chase this to the downside. That's Liberty Media. Steve Madden, ticker SHOE. All right, let's see, when were their earnings here? Their earnings are coming up. Okay, so ticker SHOE has little support area here. It's testing around 30.40. It's in day 2 of a sell-off. It did close below all the moving averages today for the first time in a couple of weeks. It does have a lot of room to the downside here. I see a little support area there, and then potentially down to here. A lot of room on this stock. It does trade very liquid, and it does have a relatively decent ATR. Let me zoom out a little bit here and see if I can clean this up a little. Looking for a move here potentially. So 30.15 is kind of the low from back here in August of 2014 and back here in November of 2015. That's probably the low where it'll trigger a move back down to 28.60, 27.80, these two previous levels here. Those red and green arrows, I'll go over those in just a sec here. Let me see here. So I want to get short on this trade under 30.30. And I want to add to this trade maybe under $30. Once we get confirmation that we're breaking down below these previous lows here, I think that's probably a safe bet. So let me write this down before I forget, guys. SHOO. This will be on short watch. Looking for a short entry under 30.30. Add spot under 30. Stop will be 31 even, and then our targets are 28.60 and then 27.80. Okay, so these red and green arrows, as you asked here, are they're indicators telling me the last time that the stock alerted off the scanner. So here's my long bias scanner on the top. It's the plus 4% here. Here's my short bias scanner on the bottom. It's minus 4%, right? We got green movers, we got red movers. And so every time one of these names pops up on the scanner, it'll populate with a little arrow under the date. And if it's a long bias alert, it'll pop up with that arrow in green, and if it's a short bias alert, it'll pop up with that arrow in red. And what that tells me is how many times this thing has been alerted for the swing trade criteria that I look for in the past, however far back I go. What does that tell me? Nothing other than I can go back and I can look and see what this thing did in between the times it was alerted previously. Does it have a history of a lot of false alerts, or is it something that is reliable mover? And when it alerts, we want to pay more attention to it. So that's basically all that is. So if that answers your question. Okay, so we'll put shoe on watch. I like that setup. DRI. This one is, I like the setup here, but it's 4 days into a down move. And it's testing 200 EMA, a big support area right here. I think this is probably more likely to bounce. If it doesn't and it fails, it's got good room down here to 58 bucks and then 57. But not for me. DSW. So we have this big 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 day run up. Nice bullish move up and over all the moving averages, and then all of a sudden we get a nice close here just at the 50 and 20 EMA. Very weak. Probably weakness with the market. I don't know if there's anything fundamental about this particular move here. But I see that for the potential, it's a smaller mover but very liquid, and a lot of the apparel stuff, A&F, Abercrombie and Fitch, and some of these other companies were selling off a little bit today, so that might be why it's down. There's not a clear target on this particular setup. I mean, maybe there's room to 2260. There's just a lot of congestion. It's really a big sideways pattern in here. Not very clean to the downside. I bet we can find something cleaner if we just look a little bit harder. Synacorp, everybody's favorite to hate. This thing has definitely historically put in some big moves, and is now in kind of no man's land here. Very weak territory with a lot of range. I do like this setup. let me check one thing real quick in the fundamental world. Okay, good. Earnings aren't coming up just yet. All right, cool. So, Synacorp. This is historically been a winner for me. I've traded this name a few times in the past. It's always done quite well. It's a very liquid mover for the most part. Doesn't have a lot of drama in it. Tends to have a relatively respectable daily chart. Not so much recently though. I can't remember the last time I traded this, but in the past this thing was a pretty clean mover. I never really had issues with it, so I'm confident and comfortable with the name. This thing looks like a good short opportunity under the $0.50. Today's low is 41.53, and that's going to be our entry spot under 41.50. $0.50 tends to hold a lot of mental resistance, psychological resistance or support for people. Why do people put their numbers at $0.50 and whole dollars? I don't know, because they're novices and it's psychologically comforting, and they don't understand that market makers attack those areas and often take people out before ripping a stock higher. So for whatever reason, that's an area of support from today. It was an area of support back in July, August, and it's an area of support back in May of 2015. It was an area of resistance back in October. And so we want to get short under 41.50. Target here is going to be first move down to 40.24 or so, 40.20. And then we got room down to this little area just below that, which looks like it's about $39. So it's a compact little mover here. I definitely like the short range. I like the setup. It's definitely trending lower. And we're going to put this one, SINA. Shoot. SINA is going on short watch. So going on short watch as this mover rolls over at the $0.50. Looking for a short entry under 41.50. Stop will be 42 even. Oops. Targets here are 40.20 and then 39. Now, guys, when I use targets, I'm using half numbers loosely or the whole round numbers loosely. When I say $39, it doesn't mean that I actually expect the stock to go and tap 39.00. It could go 10 cents above it, it could go 20 cents below, or it could tap the number exactly. It doesn't make any difference to me. It's just a general guide. As a trader, I'm always looking to take my profits every 3 to 5%. So when I get into a trade, I calculate 3 to 5% of from the price that I entered, and I start putting out orders at that area. So on a stock that's a little bit more expensive, like a $41 stock here, to get a 3 to 5% move. Today it moved, for example, $1.80, and it's a 4.13% move. I'll probably look to take profits at 3%, which is probably closer to $1.20, right? So I'm not going to get too crazy trying to swing for the fences. I'm going to be more conservative on more expensive stocks. I'm going to take profits a little bit sooner. Because the market does have a history, a tendency to whipsaw intraday and make these wild moves. So when it's a more expensive stock, usually over $20, I look to take profits at 3%. When it's under $20, I look to take profits closer to 5%. And regarding IPHI, I did see it today. It's down around $23 or so, $23.20. This thing is nasty. We got long on this stock at $28. Ended up having to average down after it moved down against us here. Was able to get out for a very, very small profit after holding for a very, very large loss. It was just more luck than anything. It was a horribly traded stock. But, I had my stop in place, and this thing gapped down a point on me pre-market, so I was forced to take action rather than just bail on it, and we were able to get out. But today did put up some earnings, and it obviously wasn't a good day. This thing sold off almost 4 points or 15%, and is now down at the lows. So no interest No interest in this name anymore. It's dead to me. All right, guys, I got my names on watch. I think that's going to be good enough here. I got to eat some dinner. I'm going to pass out. I'm pretty hungry. My stomach's eating my stomach. We got 5 names on watch: STRP, MVIS, RCII, and SHOO, and SINA. I'm going to tweet these out. I'm going to put these out on Twitter and StockTwits. I'm going to send out the email Sunday for the swing trade watch list. If you guys have any questions when you're watching this, or you want me to answer anything in particular about a trade, I'm always happy to help. Please give me an email, jeff@warriortrading.com, and I'll be happy to get back to you. I get hundreds of emails every week. I think I'm very close to my first 1,000 email week, which is great. It's truly awesome. But it might take me a few hours to get back to you, so don't expect a response immediately. But I do get back to every single one of the people who email me. And as far as IPHI goes, yeah, it was definitely good timing, but I knew earnings were after hours, so I definitely did not want to be a part of that, and that's why we were able to exit before. As far as anything else, you guys have other questions, whatever, save them for Monday's watch list we'll do here on Ticker TV, or like I said, give me an email. Hope everybody has a great weekend and a safe weekend, and we'll see you all Monday.